We are in the process of selling our house, and I just got called by the solicitor. So, hello, welcome to today's career clinic. I'm Sinead Sharkey-Steenson from Generation Women, and if you don't know me, I'm a career and leadership coach for women. And so, what I love more than anything is helping women to accelerate their careers and to step up into leadership. And I have a real bee in my bonnet about women not getting paid what they're worth, not getting recognized for the amazing, valuable people they are in the business. And I want to help you achieve that. So today's session is all about how to sell yourself without selling your soul. So feel free to say hello if you're watching live, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. Ask any questions you'd like, and I will answer. But why are we talking about being able to sell yourself without selling your soul? Well, I see it so often that women struggle to talk about what they do, the value they add, the impact they have. And so a lot of their amazing work goes completely unrecognized. And if we're not recognized, if we're not being seen as the valuable people we are, then we don't get rewarded, we don't get the opportunities, and brilliant things don't happen. So it's a must for visibility. And the key thing is that no one is going to notice you, no one is going to see the work that you do if you don't talk about it, because we're all busy. Like, people are distracted, people are focused on other things. Nobody is thinking about you as much as you are. So, well, maybe some lovely person is. But when it comes to your career, it's up to you. So I'm really excited to share with you some strategies to help you do this. And it's all about helping you be recognized. So if you want to be seen more, to be valued more, to be paid more, to get more opportunities, then learning the art of selling yourself is the key. And I've worked with thousands of women at this stage, and I've seen that this has been something they've struggled with. And when I was thinking about doing this session, it put into my head a woman that I worked with. And if you ever see me post about women, I always change their names. Ultimate confidentiality, discretion. But we'll call this woman Karen. And Karen's story is quite common. She was being seen to a certain extent as great in her company, and something was happening that I see happening an awful lot, and that's that a promotion was being dangled in front of her. And so there was all this talk about, yeah, it's coming, we're going to make it happen, we're going to, you're going to get made up. And it never just seemed to go over the line. Like, this was dragging on for months and months and months when Karen came to work with me. And the upshot was that she was overworking, trying to make this happen. She was being taken for granted. And actually, she was ready to leave the job. And this is what employers don't realize enough, or don't appreciate enough, is that when you feel taken for granted, when you don't feel valued, then you vote with your feet, you walk out, you leave, you resign. And quite often, you don't have the conversations that need to be had that can stop that from happening. So managers, you need to step up. And also, you women out there that are feeling like that, it's so much better to have the conversation. So when I think about Karen, she was in this position, dangling the promotion. And what we worked on was how she sold herself. So her manager was under no illusion, and the leadership team, about the impact that she had. And like all the women I worked with, she was phenomenal at her job. Should have been much higher up, getting much better pay, having much more responsibility. and being valued for that, and it wasn't happening. And the great thing was when we started to work on how she talked about herself, how she sold herself. And I want to help you to do this because I know people can find this a little bit dirty, a bit icky. Oh, I don't really feel like that's something I want to do. She learned how to do this in a very natural way, and it was brilliant. She started to push back on boundaries. So, she wasn't doing as much work, but she was being seen better for the work that she was doing. She was being recognized and appreciated. And of course, she secured the promotion and negotiated a much better offer than they were originally considering, and massively increased her confidence. And what's even better is she's since gone for a much more senior role that I know that she said she would never have considered, and has secured more than a 50% pay rise. So does that sound good? Does that sound like something you want? To be valued, recognized, paid more, get better opportunities, have the job you really want. And also, she has managed to create her role into something she wants, because when you sell yourself correctly, it's about shaping things so that you get to do more of what you love and less of what you're not so interested in. So increased visibility, increased recognition, increased confidence, increased opportunities. What's not to love? Now, I know you might be feeling like, oh, I hate doing this. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. Like, that's because we've been trained to play small, to not big up what we do. And actually, we've been trained to really overperform, because the research tells us that women are judged much harder than men. And you don't need the research, but I can give you the McKinsey reports and the Women in the Workplace reports and the PwC reports and all the rest of it that show this. You only have to look in the media how women are judged more harshly than men. And it happens at work. So women are judged much more on what you do, and men much more on potential. And that has an impact of us feeling like we have to be perfectionists, we have to get everything right, and anything falling below that high level is not something to talk up, not something to boast about. But I'm calling bullshit on that. One thing that I really want you to realize is that what you do already is brilliant, and you need to start recognizing that. You need to recognize the value you add, the impact you have. And actually, when you start to pay more attention to what you add rather than what you're missing, you really start to build that confidence and self-belief of being able to talk about it. And something I see time and again is that the biggest areas that we add value are the ones where we take it for granted. So when you're thinking about selling yourself, you have to start with, what am I really great at work? What are my strengths? What's my impact? How do I add the most value? And I always think a really good question to ask yourself is, what would not happen if I wasn't there? So who might not get noticed? What collaborations might not happen? What might be missed? What work just wouldn't get done? And when you start to look at it from that perspective, you hopefully start to recognize, oh my goodness, I add so much. And if you're struggling with thinking about that, because I know a lot of women that I speak to struggle with identifying their strengths and their impact, why not ask people that you trust and respect around you? So go and speak to people and ask them, what is it that you see that I do that adds value, has impact? How would you describe my strengths? And when you can see it from other people's perspectives, then hopefully you will start to see it for yourself. So the first part of being able to sell yourself is noticing what you do. The next part is to think about your beliefs around it. So some people, I've seen time and again, people think and say people should just know, they should see the results. Well, I'm sorry, but just think about your day. How many interactions with people do you have? How much time do you spend scrolling social media? How many times are you interrupted? How many people are you dealing with at work, at home, jobs you're doing, all the rest of it? We are all busy and distracted. So people are not noticing. And so if they're not seeing it, a useful belief is it's my job to help them see it. If I don't do it, nobody will. Some other helpful beliefs are it's not boasting if it's true. So I think we've got this big thing about, oh, I can't talk about myself like that. I can't, it's boasting. I'm getting too big for my boots. I'm too uppity. Bullshit. We're talking about the stuff that you're actually doing and helping people see it. It's not boasting. It's showing people, it's shining a light on what I actually do, how I have an impact. And nobody will know if I don't tell them. Like, nobody's following you around. You're not in some real life documentary. What do you call them things? You know what I mean? Not that any of them are real, but nobody's going around commenting. You're not in a David Attenborough documentary. Nobody's commenting on what's happening. It's up to you to do it. And here's another belief that might help you. By hiding what you're doing, which when you don't talk about it, when you don't shine a light on it, you're not only disadvantaging yourself, but you're disadvantaging the business, because there's probably a whole load more impact and value you could be adding, things that you could be sharing with others that people don't know about. And because they don't know about it, that's holding the business back. Now, we should want to do it for ourselves, but sometimes we find it easier to do it for others, which is why I'm sharing another belief with you, is that when you do this, you role model it to others. So you give permission for them to shine a light on themselves too. So think of all the other women around you that you could be helping and talking about this stuff too, and saying, right, we need to put ourselves out there more. We need to shine a light, because ain't nobody paying attention if we don't do it. So hopefully between why you need to do it and some beliefs around it, you're feeling convinced about, yes, I need to do this and I'm going to do this. And so you're probably thinking, yeah, but I don't know how to do it. And I'm going to share with you some tips on how to do it in a comfortable way. So I'm not talking about being a dick who's always blowing their own trumpet and being the big I am and trampling over people. This isn't about having a personality transplant. This is just about comfortably finding a way to put this information out into the world so that other people can better value you. So the first thing you need to do is recognize that you have so many opportunities to do this and you're not taking them. So think about the different interactions you have with people, especially the people that need to know your impact, know the value you're adding. So your manager, your stakeholders, your leadership team, your whoever has an input and influence, your customers needs to see and make visible what you're doing. So think about those opportunities in your one-to-one with your manager. And if you're not having a one-to-one, set one up And how you set it up is say, I'm really interested in how I can perform at my best for this business, for my team, and I would really value some regular time with you to chat over my objectives, for feedback, for updates. Like, it's an asshole of a manager that's not going to respond to that. And if they don't want that, then you're in the wrong place. Let me just say that. Meetings. So think about your team meetings, leadership meetings, wherever you are, where there's an opportunity, project meetings to give feedback and updates. Think of that as this is an opportunity for me to shine a light on what I do, the value I add, the impact I have. You can do it online. I mean, a few of you that are watching now are probably watching on LinkedIn. Absolutely a great place to toot your horn, and there's ways to do it that look good, and don't have people eye rolling, and there's ways that people want to celebrate with you and encourage you and are inspired by what you do. There's emails, there's presenting, and I'm going to give you some ways of doing this so that it feels comfortable. So I hope that feels like a useful way to spend the next 10 minutes. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat, and I'm more than happy to answer. So the first way I was thinking about is the more casual update. So if you're working from home, this one isn't as easy, but there's always ways. But it's when you run into somebody in the elevator, in the kitchen, at the coffee machine, at the water cooler, whatever it is, or passing somebody by, you can give a casual update on what you're doing. So maybe it's a senior leader that you've been working on an issue and getting it resolved. So you see them, you orchestrate a casual run-in. You know how you were having this challenge with X, Y, and Z. Well, what I've been doing is highlight your awesomeness. So calling on my relationships to better negotiate a deal, or I've analysed the problem, I've found out the root causes, and I'm working on X, Y, and Z to solve it. Shine a light on what you're doing. So it's about getting quite specific, giving a bit of detail so they can understand the value you bring. And then, so it's, how we were having this problem. What I've done is so that we can, or you can, and what's the impact of that? What's the outcome? What's the result that we can make happen? And there you go. Conversational, easy, a simple way to give an update. And you can use that in any context. But it's not, oh, check me out, I'm amazing. It's a, well, you know how, and you go from there. So a second way is in more of a formal setting. So you're taking your space in meetings. This is something that I talk about as being really important. So you're going to a meeting, a team meeting, a leadership meeting, wherever, and a project meeting, and you're given an update. And when I've been coaching women, even very senior leaders, I've learned quite often that they gloss over things and they don't take their time and space. And I can think of one particular very senior C-level woman that I was working with. She's obviously doing brilliant in her career. She's at the top level of the leadership team. But she was feeling undervalued, under-recognized, underappreciated. And it turns out it's because she was making everything look too fucking easy. She was making it look too simple, because in the boardroom, Yep, everything's going great. Got this sorted. Yep, that's done. Results are good. We're performing. And it was that kind of update that she was doing. And so nobody was getting a chance to hear, well, what's actually going on? What is it that you're doing? How are you making it look this easy? See, sometimes we think results will speak for themselves, but actually, quite often, have you noticed that it's the problem children, the ones that always have the issues and the challenges, that get results? They get to move up. And it's because they're more visible and more vocal. Now, we don't have to become a problem child. We just have to be more visible and more vocal about the good things that we're doing. So we worked on preparing your update. Okay, so what was the context that you're in? What actions have you taken? What results have you got? What benefits and impacts is there to that for the business? What was your special powers that you used to make things happen? It's okay to say, because I've worked in such and such thing and I know all about X, I was able to bring that into this context. So you're reminding them of something that they'd maybe forgotten you have in your skill set, or maybe they didn't even know. Bring those things up, highlight them, let people see. Maybe you do some volunteer experience, and I've had experience of this elsewhere. I was able to call on that. I use that to resolve this issue. Make it visible. So with the casual update, taking up space in your meetings, and I don't care if you're the last one up. Don't feel you have to be squashed into 30 seconds at the end. Every other fecker in the room had their go. Make sure you take your space. Number 3 is actively volunteering to be the person who presents, acts up, reports back, goes to the big meeting. Now, I know this might be pushing you out of your comfort zone. I will come to your question in a second, David. I know that I might be suggesting you go out of your comfort zone, but isn't that where we grow? Isn't that where amazing things happen? And I'm saying this as somebody who at times was scared to speak up in meetings, who hated presenting, who hated acting up, but I always pushed myself to do a bit of it. And do you know how you get better at it? Is by doing it. And by working on yourself, being prepared. And I'm going to give you some tips for how to do that at the very end. But when you volunteer, when you take those steps, it shows I'm passionate, I'm enthusiastic, I'm ambitious, I want to do this. And then why not ask for advice, support, mentoring, help to do it, so that you get the growth and the impact from that too. Sorry, just moving a few boxes there so I can see your question. I'll come back to that in a second. Right, the 4th thing is, I know that with working from home and hybrid working, it works for us. And believe me, I am 100% behind working from home, hybrid working. And I want to call out a bit of the bullshit around how companies are maybe treating women for doing this. It is working for women and men's lives. It's working for all of us. And so it's something we have to embrace and keep doing. So we have to be creative about how we are seen and heard. So when you do go into the office, if you can go in regularly, if regularly means once a week, once a month, twice a week, whatever it is for you, it's that you make the most of that time. So you use that not to particularly go into work, but I'm not saying you don't work, but you use that time to interact with other people. So you set up meetings, you do the drop-bys, you have coffees, you are visible, you interact, and you network. Because believe it or not, networking and relationship building is a key part of every job. It's part of what you're supposed to do. So you have to be strategic about that. And way before any of what's happened in the last couple of years, I remember working with a woman, we'll call her Sarah, and she was based in Northern Ireland, head office in London. Common story for a lot of us. And she would go over once a quarter. And we worked on a goal for her visits as being a way that people could see and know who she was, and she would be the go-to person for the work that she wanted to do. Now, that's once a quarter visit, and we did it in a very short time by just being really focused on who you're meeting, what are you going to do, how are you preparing, how are you connecting between times, how are you following up? And so those things are all really important. So think about, what are people not doing? If people have stopped lifting the phone, why don't you do that? Not everything has to be a Zoom or a Teams meeting. And then the fifth way is email updates and following up. So after meetings, follow up with, here's what was agreed, here's what I'm focusing on, here's what I'm going to achieve, an update on what you have done and what you've achieved, any particular problems you've solved, any way you've gone above and beyond. And a massive thing to do is, if you get any feedback in person or by email or on your Slack channel or whatever methods of communication you use, screenshot it, share, forward it, whatever, but make sure your manager is seeing that, because not everybody thinks to copy them into it. I'm really pleased I got this bit of feedback. I thought you'd be interested to know. Do it. Okay. So the final thing before I answer questions is 3 Ps. So you're going into these situations and you want to show up in the best possible way. So I've got 3 Ps to help you do that. So prepare, practice, perform. So prepare your message, prepare what you're going to say. Think about, what are the important things I need to get across? Who am I speaking to, and what's going to be really good for them to hear? And if you're giving an update on something or giving an example, a simple structure you can use, which is borrowed from interviewing, is CAR, context, action, results. So here was the context of what happened. Here's the actions I took. Here's the results I got. A bit like the conversational way I was talking about. The key thing is, you need to be talking about your impact, the results, what it was you did, what's happened. And so not just like, and I'm saying not just, say you've done something that saved the company £500,000. Blooming brilliant. That needs to be blown up in lights. Of course, you're going to say that and quantify wherever you can, quantify things. And also, so not only have I managed to help save this much money, I've also built relationships with X, Y, and Z. I've developed a process. Think about the secondary impact, the results, that how something can be leveraged and used. How's that going to be of benefit to the business going forward? And then you're showing yourself as a strategic thinker. So context, action, results. That's all part of your preparation. The second P, practice. So you would never get on stage and perform a stand-up routine or be in a play without rehearsal. You would never, or you should never, do an interview without practice. You shouldn't go to meetings, especially important meetings where you want to deliver an important message, without practicing. And I would say practice it out loud, because what we do and say in our heads, for anybody that mentally rehearses, which is helpful, it's always better when you do it out loud. So that's something that I want you to do. Practice it. And that way you get to feel confident about it. The words aren't coming out of your mouth for the first time when it matters most. Now, you don't have to repeat verbatim. I'm not talking about learning a script, but it's about getting comfortable and confident saying those words out loud and being able to say, you know what, I'm really great at. You know how we're looking at doing such and such a thing? Well, I've got skills and experience in this, and I know I'd be the right person for that. Blooming go for it. Get confident saying that. And then the third P is your performance. And that's all about getting in the right mindset at the time. So how are you showing up? What is it that you're doing for yourself to make sure you're in the best possible mindset when you go and do this? And so it's no good wafting from one meeting into another and all panicked and all stressed. Book in a bit of time to focus, get your energy right. With my clients, I use a system called Positive Intelligence, and we do little techniques that really help center and ground you, but fixing your posture, focusing on your breathing, feeling excited and confident about what you're going to deliver, like thinking about, yeah, I've got this, I'm going to nail this. Be your own best friend in the situation, and that's how you will bring a much better performance. So prepare, practice, perform, and go and nail it, because do you know what? You deserve this. How often have you watched some asshole that does half nothing get the recognition and rewards, take your work and pass it off as their own? No, it's time you say, actually, that was my work. I was working on that project. I did X, Y, and Z. I appreciate you highlighting it, Paul, but I think you'll find it was me. So, right, we've got a couple of questions here. It's lovely to see you, Evie. You've been without a leader for over 9 months. You've since launched a new product with exponential growth. Delight with the progress. I now have a new manager who's great. What steps can I take to demonstrate how much work I've done so this new manager will value me? Okay, you've got to take the time, build up your plan of what you're going to share. So go back through that time, and it'll be more than 9 months. Here's what I've been working on. Here's what I've been focused on. Here's what I've achieved, right? Get it all down on paper. Book in a session with them and say, I think it'd be really useful for your context and your information to understand what I've been working on, what I've achieved when I've been without a leader, so that we can build on that for the future. And then just sell it. Tell them. Give them the details. Let them see. Also, even you're going to want to think about what is it that you want to be known for? So maybe there's stuff in that you do want to share, but actually that's not what you want to be doing going forward. So, you can bring that piece too. Like, I've really grown by doing this. I've loved the experience of this. I know I add massive value here by doing this. And so you're highlighting what it is you want to be doing. These don't all have to be one conversation, but the other conversation you need to have is, what are your ambitions? What do you want to achieve in the company? And how you can help the company and the company can help you be successful. So those are really important conversations. Like, this is the sort of stuff we cover in the career elevator. So we we meet weekly so that you can plan all your conversations and make them happen. Do you think it's easier to do in the private sector rather than the public sector? I do understand where you're coming from. I'm not sure if it's more hierarchical in the public sector. I do understand that, but there is always opportunity to highlight what you're doing. So don't let your sector pull you back. Ask for those conversations with your manager. Ask for more visibility at a senior level. Ask to present. Think about what you're doing. Who could that benefit? What if you were able to go and train other people on it, or do presentations to highlight the impact of that and how it can help in other sectors of your organization? So it can be a story that we can tell ourselves. There may be real barriers, but don't let your perceived barriers hold you back. Like, give it a good bloody go for it. Ask who can I speak to? How can I be more visible? What opportunities are there for me to develop and grow? And if you contextualize that with, I really want to support the business, I want to help us excel as a team, then it becomes a really compelling prospect. So thank you for those questions. Thank you for your lovely feedback. I'm glad you've enjoyed the session. Aliani, is it? And Aveen, really nice to see you. In summary, you need to get out there and sell. And it's not about being a dick. It's just about shining the spotlight from time to time. And doing little and regular can be so powerful and impactful. Look for your allies as well. Shine a light on other people. So that's the other way that you stop yourself looking like a shameless self-promoter, is promote other people. Tell in the team meeting, Aveen's done a fantastic job at X, Y, and Z. It's really helped me out. I want to say a huge well done and a thank you for that. Give good feedback to others, and it will definitely come around. But selling yourself is such a crucial skill in getting ahead in your career. Don't sit there feeling unrecognized, unvalued, and frustrated. And don't just walk before doing anything, because you're just going to go and do the same thing in another job. And if you would love to know more about how to get my help to do these things, like I am your biggest cheerleader when you work with me, I'll drop a link in the comments. I would love to have a chat with you. So I'm taking time over the summer to have virtual coffees and chats with people. And if you think that the Career Elevator or my Leadership Mastermind might be an interesting thing for you to help you level up, then I am more than happy to talk about those things too. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining me. And I've enjoyed this so much, I might do it a bit more regularly than once a month. Bye.